Hey there, so giving you a couple of modeled workouts for solving systems of equations, just those word problems, the applications. So if you think about our steps when we get all of these words and we have a box, it can get a little bit overwhelming. First thing we're going to do, though, besides reading the problem, is we want to define the variables. Like let x be something, let y be something else. Then we want to write two equations, or hopefully when we're reading through a systems word problem, there are two constraints, if you think about it, or two kind of pieces of data, two equations I can get out of it that can be representative of the problem. Then I'm going to solve and answer the actual question once I solve the system. Remember, I can solve by substituting or eliminating, and either way you choose, if you do it correctly, it should work. Okay. So number 13, so this is page 3 in the study guide. Tennis coach took his team out for lunch and bought 8 hamburgers. I'm going to make hamburgers. I'm already going to call that X. 5 fries. I'm already going to call that Y for $24. Okay, the players were still hungry. Whatever, doesn't matter. Coach bought, though, 6 more hamburgers and 2 more fries for some other amount of money, okay? Now, really what it's asking is find the cost for 1 hamburger. Well, in essence, the hamburger is X. Is this kind of saying, well, just solve for X? Yeah. Okay, so let's go for it. So first of all, I'm going to set up my variables. I'm going to define them. So let X equal hamburgers. And I am now going to set up Y, which are the fries. Okay, so my first piece of data, if you think about it, or my first equation, if you want to call it that, is this one, which is I have 8 hamburgers. So I'm just getting this information from the first, if you think about it, you can always number that from the first sentence, right? 8 hamburgers plus 5 fries, because remember fries are Y, equals $24. It's always good to actually write, if it's a dollar amount, to actually write the dollar sign so you keep it straight in your head. And the second constraint, or the second equation I can write, is about the second sentence. The players were still hungry. The coach bought 6 more hamburgers and 2 more fries for $16.60. Okay, great. So now I have a system. Can I now solve it? Well, I can. Definitely different ways that I could do this, but if I want to solve for X, well, then could I get rid of my Y's? Let's go for it, because I want to find out the hamburger price, which is X. So let's think about it this way. If I want to get rid of my Y's, maybe I want to eliminate my Y's. So then maybe I could set this up as an elimination. Well, if I look at this first equation, could I in fact multiply this first equation by 2? And then for this equation, could I multiply that by 5? Yeah, let's see what happens if I do it. And again, there are many different ways to do this. So this is not, by any stretch of the imagination, the only way to do it. There are actually like an infinite number of ways to do it. Hopefully, if you do it correctly, regardless of your method, you'll get the right answer. So if I am going to multiply this whole thing, this whole first equation by 2, let's go for it. So 8 times 2 is 16x. 2 times 5y is 10y. And that is going to be equal 2 times 24, which is 48. Okay, so I basically just multiplied all of this by 2. Great. It's an equivalent equation if you think about it, equivalent ratio. Okay, now I'm going to multiply the bottom one by 5, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this y value to be the same as 10y up here, so I can just eliminate them. So let's go for it. Well, 5 times 6 is 30x. 5, I should say 5 times 6x. 5 times 2y is, oh gosh, well, I got my 10y. And then I have 1660, and I'm gonna actually use a calculator for this, times 1660 times 5 equals $83. Okay. Oops, I just wrote 38. 83. Okay. Now, if I zoom in on my new equation here, can I now go ahead and eliminate? Can I subtract, if you think about it? Can I subtract these equations from one another? Yay, I think I can. So remember, you're going to subtract each value. So 10 minus 10, well, that's going to be 0y. Yay, just got rid of it. Well, 16 minus 30, it's okay if you end up with a negative, right? Well, 16 minus 30 is going to be negative 14x, right? And then I have 48 minus 83, which is going to get me negative 35. Okay. Now, I'm going to divide both sides by 14. So if I think about negative 14 divided by negative 14 is just 1. So I get rid of it. I end up with my x. And then I have 35 divided by 14. And I just put it in my calculator, and the answer is 250. And I'm dividing a negative by a negative, so my answer is positive. And remember that this is the x value. What does that mean though now? So now I have an x. Well, let's make sure this is reasonable. If I zoom out, that means that one hamburger, if you think about it, because x is a hamburger, cost me $2.50. That's pretty awesome. Could I substitute this back into an equation to find out what y is? Absolutely I could, and that will tell me what my fries are. If you did this another way and you solve for x first, you'll realize that, and I'll just put it here, but you don't have to actually include this. The fries are actually 80 cents. So if you plug these two values back in, you would, into both the equation, you would find out that it is equivalent. Okay, so over here, again, what the question is asking though is find the cost for each hamburger. So the really correct answer here, if you think about it, is $2.50 per hamburger, okay? So it depends what the question is asking. Okay, let's do one more. Well, we're gonna go from hamburgers and fries to hot dogs and steak Sammys. So let's go for it. Jim, my friend Jim sells hot dogs. So let's go ahead and just, I know that's gonna probably be a question, right? For $2.95 each, steak Sammys, that's probably gonna be my Y, for $9.95 each, out of his truck, his food cart. During a festival, blah, 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 he sold a total of, items, right? 985 items for a pretty decent amount. About $7,300, great. How many steak sandwiches did he sell? So what are we trying to solve for? We're trying to solve for, I'm gonna write that. So we're trying to solve for y. So I think when I get to my equations, maybe I go ahead and eliminate my x. So maybe that'll be a good plan. So let's go for it. This is a shout out to Caleb for working this one with me. Okay, so let's define our variables here. I'm just gonna go put that aside. Okay, so even though I already did, let x equal though hot dogs. And y equal the steak Sammys, okay? And I actually want to put the amount here just because I like to put numbers whenever I can. Okay. So let's go for it. This is dealing with two constraints here. I have a money constraint, like a cost constraint, and also a quantity this time. So let's put that in a box. x. Okay, so my first equation I can write is going to be a quantity. I'm putting Q there, sorry about that. Quantity. So I want to keep this different from the cost for a minute. So I have X plus Y. So I sell some amount of hot dogs, some amount of steak sandwiches, right? When I add them, when I combine them together, I have sold $9.85. Okay. Then my second equation is the cost. Okay. So if I think about my cost here, I have, well, how many X's? Well, X's cost me $2.95 each. So now this is, it's even helpful to put the dollar amount. $2.95 hot dogs, right? Per hot dog, if you think about it. Sorry. Oh, X, yeah, sorry. Plus, and then steak Sammy's, $9.95. Why? Because that's the steak sandwich. And how much was the money? Well, if you think about it, the total that they told us in the word problem was $7,343.75. Okay, so what I just did here is I set up a system of equations. One is just about the quantity, and one is just about the cost. So now, if I think about this, well, I need to solve for y. So can I get rid of my x's? Sure. And what if I just multiply this by 295, this first part? Because then I can eliminate my x's and just solve for y. Should we do it that way? Let's do it. Again, another shout out to Caleb for this. He knows why. Okay, so let's do it. So if I were to rewrite this over here, well, maybe I should draw a bigger line here. $2.95 times x, that is $2.95x. Then I have $2.95 times y, well, look at that, plus $2.95y equals, well, $2.95 times $9.85. This is when a calculator comes in handy. I'm using a calculator right now. I have not memorized that. So I'm taking $2.95 and I'm multiplying by $9.85. And I'm going to end up with, if my calculator is right, or if my fingers were accurate, I'm going to end up with $2,905.75. Okay, great. Now I'm going to bring over the other equation. So I'm going to draw a line here. So I have 295x. This is, again, just, I'm taking it from here and I'm moving it here because I want to line it up. X plus 995, y equals 7,143 and 75 cents.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And then can I just now subtract it? Yes, so 295 minus 295x. Yay, I got rid of my x. So now I have 295, and now I am, remember, I'm subtracting each value. And don't worry if they're negatives, right? We're going to take care of that in just a minute. So if I subtract 295 and 995, it's going to be $7. The negative wins, so, right? So -7. And then over here, I take 2,905.75 cents, and I'm going to subtract 7,343.75 cents, and I'm going to end up with 4,438. But remember, it's going to be a negative sign. So, oops, forgive me, I forgot my y here. I was like, oh, that's not true. Okay. So I have -7y equals negative this amount. I'm going to now divide both sides by -7, and I will get my positive number. So in essence, I'm dividing 4,438 divided by 7. And I'm going to end up with, I'm going to write it over here, sorry, y equals 634, okay? So again, I got 634 by dividing, I want to get my y alone, right? So 4,438 divided by 7. They're both negative numbers, negative times negative by negative is positive. So I end up with y is 634. What does that actually mean though? I solve for y. What is y? Y is how many steak Sammys he sold. So we can go ahead and make sure we write this out correctly. 634 steak sandwiches. Okay. And could you figure out, well, anything else from this? Sure, but I'm going to end with that one. Hopefully this helped. And hopefully you can use this modeled information to finish the other 3. Good luck.